Ticklish business any way you look at it. Come on, we'll stick together.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the last Ticklish Business episode of 2025. We made it! Woo! I do want to throw out right before we get into what we're talking about today. We ended 2024 thinking we were never coming back.
Yeah, we did.
we figured we were done. And then somewhere around February, March, we were like, I feel like we need to bring this back because we are dying inside because of the world. So the fact that we've brought this back and that the same amount of people are listening, that we've gotten the same amount of patrons for the majority of the year, like, I don't know if that's a testament to the show, to us, to you guys, the listeners, or what, but I mean, massive thank you for continuing to stick with us after we thought, we were wrapping it up for good.
Yeah, to use a contrite phrase, the last couple of years have been a journey, and we really appreciate everybody sticking around, giving us feedback, being part of the community. It's been so much for everybody, especially, not to be centric, but us Americans have been through it this year, and we are working on it, and we are trying to do good, and it's just been a little spot of joy to continue making this show. So we really appreciate everybody who's stuck around.
Yes, I especially appreciate some of our international fans because I've gotten some messages from them that are like, hey, we're not dealing with that. Hang in there, which is really great. If you've listened through that, you don't know who the hell we are. As always, I'm Kristen Lopez, joined by the wonderful and patient Emily Edwards. Emily, how are you?
Patient, you say to me when I was like, Kristen, I can't podcast for a couple months because my house burned down. Kristen, I can't podcast for a couple weeks because I'm moving back across the country. Kristen, I need help.
I say patient because it was Kristen. We're recording today, and it's usually me being like, we are? What? I booked a billion other things. So, yes, I applaud Emily's patience with me and my ADHD brain. But we have come to the end of 2025. Our Christmas-centric episode is actually an episode that we have not done. I looked back in the archives, and we have not done a top 3 Christmas movies episode.
Can I just say, something that's been very helpful for this is the TCM book of Christmas movies written by Jeremy Arnold.
Yes.
Super helpful if you're a Christmas nut or if you're really going like, I don't want to watch, sorry to nag on something we'll probably mention today, Miracle on 34th Street another time. What else can I watch? An actual compendium of Christmas movies. Very, very helpful.
A friend of the podcast, Jeremy Arnold, and wonderful blurb giver to my new book, Popcorn Disabilities. So we love Jeremy on the podcast. Yes, his books are invaluable. But before we get to that, we would like to remind everybody that if you've not become a part of our Patreon, then you should maybe consider it for 2020. Our Patreon helps keep the lights on at Ticklish Biz HQ and lets us do fun things like our bonus series, as well as me giving out a bunch of swag to people. You get episodes 48 hours early. You also get access to our Discord server, so you should definitely consider it. It's $1 a month. You can give more if you would like. That's at patreon.com/ticklishbiz. And we always love to thank our friends David Floyd, Gates, Chris McKay, Allie Moore, Rosa, all of you people who have continued to support us with your time and your money and your listening, all of it. We are very, very grateful that we get to close out another year. We did our first weekly series this year. First and last, probably.
Yeah, let's not go back to that unless we have enough patrons to afford someone else to edit the episodes.
Yes.
But other than that, it was a blast. We really hope you guys liked it. Feedback, again, really, really essential and really, really helpful to continuing to doing podcasts. And we appreciate the fact that people have been around more and more frequently to be like, hey guys, that was fun. That really puts gas in the canister more than you would imagine. So we really appreciate that.
Yes. So thank you. But let's get into our top 3 Christmas movies. I was going to say our editing is technically now unofficially sponsored by Riverside FM, because they have been helping Emily get through a lot of the editing with some of their fun little tweaks and hacks that they have that I did not even know was a thing.
Super neat program. I didn't know it either until I was like, oh my God, I need to find a faster way to edit because this is taking a lot of time. Turns out, Riverside. There we go. Thanks, buddies.
I've been thinking, we were supposed to have a guest. We did not have a guest. It's just us. Do we want to do 3 or do we want to do 5?
I should probably write down a list really quickly if I'm going to be doing 5.
I mean, I can just come up with some on the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, I'm wondering, yeah, you know what? We should go big. We should go like
why not?
monster truck big and go
Yeah,
5.
exactly. I mean, my favorite Christmas movie of all time is not a classic. So I do have to say that something that was made in 1992 is the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Is it a Muppet Christmas Carol?
It is The Muppet Christmas Carol. It is a great movie. I have seen that movie at least twice a year, every year since 1992. So
I love it. It's the only Christmas Carol that I will endure despite my hatred of Tiny Tim and all that he has come to stand for.
I don't blame you for that at all. I really don't. Tiny Tim is truly insufferable.
Yes.
But when it's a tiny little Muppet frog, more acceptable.
Yeah, like Tiny Robin is okay, fine. I can't fault him for that. So
yeah, they make him die of tuberculosis, not has a crutch. You know what I mean? Like it's a different interpretation, I think. Of
Are you
Tim.
saying people don't have a crutchitis?
Yeah, exactly.
Anymore?
It's like, oh, your armpit gets sore from leaning on it, and then all of a sudden you have to waste away and die. No, they actually give him TB in this, or like a hesitant cough, which will interpret as TB.
I love it. I love it. So yeah, we're gonna supersize this and do top 5 Christmas movies. And I'm trying to think of a 5. So I mean, while we're talking about this and we're trying to cobble our list in the moment,
exactly.
What does a classic Christmas movie have to have other than being within the margins of time that we have wonkily kind of adhered to over the years?
You know, though, definitely we are looking, pre-1970, I think. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's not like there are any banger Christmas movies coming out in the 70s, probably.
I mean, you could probably go as far as the 80s at this point. I mean, because there's now like
Is that
40...
because you want to sneak Gremlins onto the list, Kristen?
I am actually not a Gremlins super fan.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, Gizmo's cute and all, but I've watched that movie several times, and I turn into Gabrielle Union in 10 Things. I'm never more than just whelmed. I'm just like,
no, I get it.
Okay, that happened. My apologies to Joe Dante, who I'm friendly with, who I'm assuming listens to this show alongside his friend Sabrina Carpenter. But yeah, but Gremlins, I mean, Gremlins does have the like greatest, darkest timeline of all time.
Yeah.
There's that. But for me, I think like a classic Christmas movie is one where the themes feel timeless. You can watch, I'm going to give a really bad example here, but I'm going to give it anyway. You can watch Home Alone 2, okay? And that movie feels like it's 1990. It's still got universal themes, but nobody watching it in 2025 is going to say, oh yeah, this movie definitely feels like it's made today.
Choir is a physical toy store, and we don't really have those anymore.
Yeah, it requires us to believe that Donald Trump is just a hotel owner.
Right.
I mean, some probably
and
could
that
argue
anybody is nice to the unhoused lady who feeds pigeons all the time.
I think the funniest part about watching Home Alone 2, not to, go on a complete tangent, is the fact that, like, Central Park in 1992 is filled with mutants.
No. Yeah. No, you didn't go into New York City or Central Park or anywhere near Broadway, actually, in the early 90s.
You can watch something from the 1940s and 1950s, and yeah, sure, it's not being made today. But there's not any real overt... Somebody's going to give me crap for this on the internet.
Okay.
But there's not real connections that immediately take you out. You know, Kevin McAllister, again, I'm just going to keep crapping on Home Alone 2. Kevin McAllister takes out this big-ass, like, corded cell phone to talk.
Yeah.
And you're immediately just like... It's the problem with technology in movies, is that it immediately kind of sets it into a time and place.
Yeah.
And classic films, I think the fact that they take place, some of them are period pieces, so they can get away with being kind of mired in a time period. There's a timeless quality to them, and dare I say there's an elegance to them.
Yeah.
You watch something like White Christmas, a movie that I historically don't like, and that movie just has such a de vivre to it. The makes it feel as compelling then as it was now.
Yeah, I definitely miss, as much as I understand and know why we have moved towards, let's just say, a culture of comfortableness when people go out and things like that. Like, Christmas used to be a time where you dressed up. Anybody else remember having to go to like Christmas parties in the 90s wearing like itchy, frilly dresses and stuff like that? And I understand why there's been a movement away from things like that. But, you know, like, there is a certain formality, there is a certain aspect of these are times where we are reverential that really gets driven home in old Christmas movies that I thoroughly enjoy. There are a lot of things that preclude us from throwing massive parties or having huge dinner parties and things like that. There's a lot of reasons why we don't do that. But I think it's important to remember a time where that was possible, remember the community and the sort of reverence that happened around holiday seasons. And again, we are doing Christmas because, hey, you know, Christian normativity in America, it's always been there, especially thanks to the Hays Code. But these are important things to remember. It did have a weight to it that I think is, you think of a lot of Christmas movies that came out when we were kids. Like, I'm thinking of like Jingle All the Way. Do you remember that? Where it was like,
oh yeah, I do.
Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sinbad have to beat each other up over a toy.
It's
and
great.
It's like, yeah, you know, that's fun and all. But it doesn't have the same sort of like, and then we come together to share a meal, no matter how meager it is. And,
nope, it's straight up capitalism,
it's
baby.
Straight up violent capitalism. You know, I probably Sinbad's actually my friend's uncle, so I should probably like not.
Hey, Sinbad is the wronged party in that movie. I will defend that till the day is long. Okay,
that's very true.
They set him up as a villain. He is not the villain.
He is a humble postal worker, and he gets the short end of the stick the entire time.
I mean, the fact that you can watch that movie and it's the story of a big, like, Austrian Aryan dude trying to get a toy and will step on the face of a postal blue-collar man of color in order to do it says a whole lot.
It really does. Anyway.
We've gone down some roads in the first 12 minutes of this episode.
Yeah.
If people listening to this or watching it on our YouTube channel, which we are now working on doing, and then doing the Rudolph episode before this, they're going to be like, yeah, you guys have had a year, haven't you? Because you're just completely off the deep end.
Like I said in our Rudolph episode, nothing prepares you for something like this quite like being an English major in college, where it's like, let me spin a yarn, everybody.
And I think we'd all argue that nobody is going to say, much like this is more of a phenomenon now. All of these are definitely quantifiably Christmas movies. Like, there's no argument, I think, for at least not for my picks. It's not the Die Hard principle, where it's like, is it a Christmas movie, though? Is it?
I have one that's a little iffy, but I will make an argument for it, and that's going to come later in the show.
Okay, so I would say, as we usually do on this podcast, if we overlap, we usually will give a phrase, Makoko, and the person who has it highest on the list will introduce it, and then we'll go to the other person. So,
wonderful.
Yes. So I'm going to jump in at number 5 with 1947's The Bishop's Wife.
That's my number 5, too!
Yay!
Woo!
I wonder what that says that we both put it at 5. Like, it's not high enough to be a top-tier Christmas movie. So fun fact, I included this in my But Have You Read the Book? It's based on a Robert Nathan short story. It's the story of an angel sent down from heaven, played by Cary Grant, who is trying to help a wayward bishop, played by David Niven, create a church. And then he ends up falling in love with the bishop's wife, played by Loretta Young. So I put this at 5 because having read the Robert Nathan short story, which I recommend everybody does, because it's vastly different than what you see. The movie is a heart-hurting story of finding one's love and humanity and reason to be alive. Robert Nathan's book is just like, nope. None of that.
Everything is misery, and your wife is cheating on you.
It's very much like a satire, essentially, where like I think he's more of a pastor or outright priest. Like, he's not a bishop. I don't know how it works with the ecclesiastical marrying thing.
Priest is generally reserved for Catholics, and they don't have wives. Other than that, you've got a different hierarchy.
But it's really more of the fact that in the book, the bishop and his wife are pretty much Puritan. So, like, they are married because of a religious obligation. There's not any love between them, although Julia is very much this lovelorn, like, desperately seeking not just love, but, like, sex. She's definitely, like, down for some physical attraction. And the husband is pretty much like, nope, we don't do that.
That's
it is purely
God.
to beget children. So they're in this loveless marriage, and Dudley in the book is very much how you would think an angelic deity is. He comes down, he like only speaks in Bible passages.
Awesome. Nothing gets me going quite like someone quoting the Bible at me.
And everything is like, he doesn't understand love, he only understands reverence and all of that. So it's very much a religious kind of looking at the nature of religion more than a straightforward romantical love story. And I think, having read the book, I have a new appreciation for the actual feature, because the movie historically went through a lot of different roads. They originally wanted Dana Andrews and Teresa Wright to play the bishop and his wife. They got replaced. Cary Grant, depending on who you ask, was originally cast as the bishop, but then he wanted to play the angel. And I think that the movie works 100% because it's a Cary Grant show.
Yeah,
it's a Cary Grant production. He brings in so much of the romanticism, and not just the romanticism. I think that he also conveys a lot of the childlike wonder of the holidays in the way that the little girl, the story of David and Goliath, and the way he wants Julia, which is the Loretta Young character, to enjoy ice skating and all of these things. His goal really is to give a reason for the season, to give a bad rhyme. And I love it. I love him in it, and I think it's one of the few Loretta Young movies where I don't find her to be just really wooden. I know that's a hot take. And David Niven, I think it works really well with him. It's a big reason why when they remade it in 96 with Penny Marshall as the preacher's wife, again, it understands exactly what it is. You need to have somebody equally charismatic to play Dudley. And Denzel, I think, did just as good a job, even if the movie is not 100% as good as the original. It really realizes, like, as long as we get the Dudley casting right, it'll work. And damn it, it does. So that's why I put it at number 5. Emily, what about The Bishop's Wife makes it your 5?
I mean, it's really important to understand that Loretta has to be pulled in different directions. And as much as we love the casting of Cary Grant, and he was number 1 on my list of, top old Hollywood stars for a reason. Everybody loves Cary Grant. He's just so magnetic. You honestly have a turmoil in your heart while watching it of going like, I can understand if Loretta throws herself at this other guy. Like, she's slowly falling in love with this man who's showing her how to feel joy and how to feel alive again. And it's something that's totally understandable while you're watching it. But David Niven is an excellent opposite casting, and it's sort of out of left field for Niven, who I know slightly more from his later career as being like sort of a cad character, which was very much like his personality off screen when he was just being a movie star. And so to have him in this very uptight, staid, with the collar, he's in vestments most of the time, to have him play that character, but it's still David Niven. So you're like, oh, I understand why you married him to begin with. He's very much this really magnetic man who you could be drawn to the nobleness that he sort of puts off, which I think a lot of movies get wrong when they're discussing male characters in the ecclesiastical careers, of like, there is an appeal to wanting to be the bishop's wife, and it's not necessarily just power and having a place in society. If you are someone who is truly drawn to wanting to do good works, marrying into a church family makes a ton of sense in this time period. And I think that David Niven is actually fantastic casting for that. And you understand why she's pulled in different directions. Again, I'm not super familiar with Loretta Young's body of work. I know that she was extremely religious in her actual life, so I'm sure that's part of the reason why she was drawn to this movie, because it is very church heavy. And for someone who has not been to church in a very, 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 very long time, I was surprised at how much I enjoyed watching the movie, because it's not like Christianity is the only way. It's good works are a way to live your life. And that's something that genuinely appeals to me outside of a church setting, too.
I love that. Yeah. And I'm always fascinated by the way religion played during this time period, because one of my favorite movies is The Song of Bernadette, which is a very religious film. And yet, I don't think anybody watching a religious film from the 90s is going to feel the same way about watching religious movies of the 2025s. It's a totally different vibe. And I haven't really hit on what that vibe shift is. But I think that The Bishop's Wife is a really good example of that, in that if you are a person that subscribes to the Christian politics of the movie, you get something. And yet it doesn't push away those who are not part of that group.
Yeah, it's really deftly done.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to move on to my number 4, which is also in the 40s. We're going to stay there for a second. And it's 1947's...
We might have the exact same list, Kristen, because number 4 on my list is Miracle on 34th Street.
We are
This has never happened before.
We are one mind, clearly. So I saw this first. I saw the remake from the 90s. I love both for vastly different reasons. The 90s is because it's all about Dylan McDermott in a Christmas sweater. Right? Yes. I mean, I have big issues with that movie.
That man is wearing the most magical cashmere sweaters I have ever seen. And the idea that the woman who lives across the hall from him does not have a friends with benefits relationship with him is like, absolutely unknown to my mind.
She's like, ew, why would I want to date you? Like, I'm married to my work because it's 1994 and I'm a girl boss. I have a lot of... one day we'll talk about the 94 remake and the fact that it seems to get that movie mixed up with the work of Frank Capra, right down to the fact that the character's last name is Bedford. I was just like, I'm pretty sure your Miracle on 34th Street got mixed in with my It's a Wonderful Life. But the 1947 original is the OG, and it's great. It tells the story of a little girl played by Natalie Wood who meets the department store Santa played by Ed McGuinn, who actually is the real deal. And we talked about with The Bishop's Wife how Cary Grant is the reason it works. And I think Edmund Gwenn is also the reason that this film works. This was a real comeback for Gwen and immortalized him for a lot of people, to the point that he was Santa Claus for a long time. And I would be interested to know how many people felt that with Richard Attenborough when the 94 version came out. I think Gwen's version is a bit better, if only because the Attenborough version has now been colored by Jurassic Park. So if you saw Jurassic Park first, you're like, is he Santa or is he John Hammond? But Gwen,
or is he going to sell out his own children for profit?
Exactly. But Gwen was definitely Santa. And I think what I appreciate about this is that it's really a wartime, post-wartime movie, but you really have to be paying attention to it. So the idea that, of course, this was created partially to get people to go back. So, like, I think it was JCPenney and Macy's came together and said, we're going to support this movie. They actually used Macy's in the actual film, and yet it doesn't feel venally capitalistic when you watch it. And Natalie Wood, I think, is utterly darling. She's got the best side eye I've ever seen in my life when she's like looking at Edmund Gwenn's character. But there's a moment in the movie, and they redid it in the 94 version, and I think it works just as good in 94 as it does here, but it's a different vibe in this one, where Santa Claus is talking to a little girl who speaks Dutch, and he's speaking to her in Dutch. And I didn't really realize the import of that until I started doing some research, and they were talking about how many children lost family and the rise of international adoptions that happened in the wake of World War II. And to watch that and realize that, like, oh, this is probably a child that has lost both of her parents and has been adopted by an American family and is now living in a country where no one.
Yeah,
like it really hits you right in the gut. And you're going to completely lose that watching it today. But it's the nature of empathy. I don't think we see empathy captured in film as astutely as we do here. Really, it is a story, again, about returning to kind of the nuclear family. Natalie Wood's character wants a house and a dad. So there's a lot of definite moments where you're like, is this trying to sell me something? And yet I don't mind being sold when I watch this film. I really don't. And I don't know why, but it works. Emily, why did this make your 4?
I think one of the things that you touched upon, which is this desire for children, and it does sort of sell the heteronormativity. But what it does say, I think better than that, is that this movie wants you to be comfortable. And I don't mean comfortable as in complacent. I mean comfortable as in feeling loved, having everything you need. For a very long time, the little girl is fine with having a mom. You know what I mean? But as she grows older and wants other things, she's allowed to want those things. And the mother character is allowed to want certain things. And the lawyer is allowed, Fred is allowed to want things. And even Santa Claus is allowed to want certain things. He wants to give joy to people. And I think that this movie has an incredible ability to say, again, in the post-war years, like the war is barely over at this point, of just saying not what you want is necessarily a nuclear family and heteronormativity and Christian dominance. It's you're allowed to want to go back to how you felt before the war, which is having enough. And I think that's an incredibly important thing. Because again, what the little girl wants is not the Barbie Malibu mansion. She just wants a house. She wants to feel like she has enough again and to feel sated and to feel something other than hunger and want.
Yeah, security. I mean, security is ultimately what the characters are seeking, and security in the faith that their belief system has meaning. The belief in Santa is ingrained. Santa is a real person, you know? And I think that's always what I laugh about with the remake, which is she wants the house, she wants a dad, she wants a baby brother. And I'm like, girl, you were asking for a lot, especially from your mother. You're like,
who's in her late 30s.
Yeah, screw your reproductive autonomy. I demand a sibling and I will get it. So I love that element. And I think that's what I love a lot about the Christmas movies of predominantly the 1940 period, is that you are seeing them ascribe to the basic tenets of humanity during wartime, which is, you know, wanting connection, wanting community, wanting to feel secure, as opposed to wanting something specific, you know, wanting an item or even a person.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it's important that these movies, 34 Streets, take place in New York City. Yeah. And it does take place in a massive international community. Oftentimes, one of my gripes with everybody's favorite Christmas movie, which is, you know, It's a Wonderful Life, is that It's a Wonderful Life, which I'm sure we'll get to, really focuses on the small community. And Miracle on 34th Street firmly believes that large cities can also be a community. And I know better than anybody what the politics of 1947 New York City actually were. You had, you know, Moses ripping down established communities. The city was in turmoil. It was being rebuilt. And what's odd to me is that it was being rebuilt in a way to drive white people out. And this movie actually says, like, no, like, you can stay. Like, it is still a wholesome community. You do not actually have to drive to the suburbs. You do not have to be driven to your whites-only Levittown communities. You know, you can still find wholesomeness in the city. And that's actually quite revolutionary for 1947.
Yeah, you know, the Bedford Falls small town now, I think, has kind of been codified as this isolated, backwards type of community, and not to say that that's what Bedford Falls is, but it's certainly selling this idea of a time gone by. So I think that's an interesting point to make.
There's not a lot of nostalgia in this 1947 Miracle on 34th Street. It is like, this is now, and you're allowed to want to be happy now. You don't have to long for something that is gone. You can long for something in your future.
Exactly. Emily, I'm going to let you give your third, because now I want to know if we have the same list.
My third is A Christmas in Connecticut.
So I'm going to Makoko that because it is higher on my list.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yay.
I'm excited. What's your number 3, Kristen?
My number 3 is 1940.
Ooh, I don't know that one.
You don't know Holiday Affair? Let me tell you. So Holiday Affair is about Janet Leigh plays Connie Ennis, and she is a comparison shopper, which is just like a corporate spy. She goes into different stores and buys something, and then she'll go to her company and be like, they're selling it for cheaper. You gotta bring it down. So through a series of shenanigans, she meets a local retail man, Steve Mason, played by Robert Mitchum. Yes.
Oh, my heartthrob.
Robert Mitchum is working behind the toy counter at your local Gimbals.
And what, spying on you in order to take out your husband when he catches them cheating on you? Because, like, no man, Robert Mitchum is the least wholesome actor who's ever lived. So I love the idea
buying that he's working the toy counter at a Macy's? Come on.
No. Nuh-uh.
So through a series of shenanigans, he meets Connie. He gets fired from his job. And they end up spending Christmas Eve together, and love blossoms, okay? And she has a precocious young son, and poor Wendell Corey is the guy she's gonna marry, who is like milquetoast express, so it's only a matter of time before the two hot people get together. So you were talking about how you cannot believe Robert Mitchum is wholesome.
No.
Well, strap in for the backstory on this movie.
Yes.
He had to make this movie to rehab his image because the year before that, or I forget the exact timing, but he had gotten caught in a hotel with 2 sex workers smoking pot.
I was going to say, is this the smoking the reefer?
Yes, and that was apparently
it's not the sex workers that we have a problem with.
Hellworthy trespass.
Devil's lettuce.
Yes, it was a hellworthy trespass, and people thought his career was done. They thought he was never gonna work again, and he made this Christmas movie in order to get back into the good graces of the studio and the ladies and all of that. And I love how this movie flirts with being both a Christmas film and maybe a sex comedy. I'm not really sure. Like, if you look at the poster for this, it's literally Mitchum with a text bubble above him that says, "Baby, you're just what I want for Christmas."
I have to watch this today.
Yes.
Because if it's like Christmas movie sex farce, oh, I'm sold. This is great.
This is a movie that has a scene where they are having Christmas dinner. Her young son, her fiance, and her parents. And he stands up and says, well, I'm just going to tell y'all now, I love this chick. I want her, and it's going to be what's up. And everybody's like, what? Scandalous. And he's like, looks at her fiance, and he's like, dude, wouldn't you prefer I just, like, told you honestly? And I think he says something to the effect of, rather than try to catch her behind the kitchen stove. And
I love this. This is literally also the plot of The Grass is Greener, which is a Noel Coward play that they turned into a movie with Robert Mitchum and Cary Grant, where Robert Mitchum's like, hi, I'm going to have an affair with your wife. And Cary Grant's like, I'm British, so that's fine, and I'll just wait.
Yeah.
And it's like, great, I love it. Robert Mitchum, every movie apparently goes like, hello, I'm here to steal your woman.
Yeah, and he's like, I think says at one point, isn't it better for a young boy to know that 2 men desperately love his mother? And I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting that they love his mother, that they just both really want to screw Janet Leigh, but like,
I was going to say, she's a fox.
She's hot. And one of my favorite, this is one of my favorite TCM little moments, but Ben Mankiewicz introduced this one year, and he talked about how Janet Leigh, when she brought up this movie, instead of giving her a movie kiss, Robert Mitchum gave her a real kiss, like a real one. And he's all something, I forget if this was something Ben came up with or something that was a direct quote, but he called it giving her the Bob Mitchum treatment. And I was just like, I love all of this. This is great. And aside from the Mitchum hilarity of this movie, I think that this is just a really sweet little, like, this could be a Hallmark movie today. Like, the plot could very well be a Hallmark film. Little Gordon Gebert, who plays Timmy, who is the child. This whole thing.
Unfortunate name.
Exactly. This starts with him wanting a train for Christmas. He sees it in his house and thinks that his mom's bought it for him, but it's not. It's her corporate spying. And how this train gets from A to B is really fun and sweet. It culminates with a New Year's, like, rush to the train. Will they make it on time? It is one of the perfect Christmas movies. You know, Wendell Corey, he doesn't have a chance in hell of, like, winning the girl at the end, but he's definitely kind of the precursor to a lot of the, like, side guys you'd get in 90s movies. It's great. It's so great. See this and let me know exactly what you think, Emily, because I feel like you would dig it.
Completely sold, to be honest with you. Like, I'm literally going to watch this today. I can't wait.
I love it. So we can talk Christmas in Connecticut. It's my number 2.
Wonderful.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
So, Christmas in Connecticut is another, I think because of the war, I think horniness is on the rise in these movies, because I would argue Christmas in Connecticut is also another movie that is fueled 98% by lust.
Listen, like, I understand that the Hays Code was like, all women need to be married. But what the Hays Code also did was, marriage is code for she wants to get down. And so, like, I really appreciate the fact that Christmas in Connecticut is like, she's like uptight and she's a perfectionist. And then she meets this guy and she's like, I need to get wifed up. And you're just like, yeah, I get it, girl. Good for you, Stanny.
Yeah, Barbara Stanwyck plays Elizabeth Lane. And I would say, too, I think this might be a send-up of kind of women and gender roles at the time.
Oh, absolutely.
She plays a successful magazine columnist who, according to her column, she has a wife, a baby, and a farm in Connecticut, and she does, like, recipes.
Mm-hmm.
But in a great inventive little bit of cinematography, we find out that she actually has none of those things. She is a single woman that lives in an apartment, very nice New York apartment.
Oh, I'll say.
And she is kind of co-opted into hosting a returning war vet, Jefferson Jones, played by Dennis Morgan, for Christmas. So she has to find all of these things she doesn't have. She has a lovelorn companion. Is he a boyfriend? We don't really know, but he wants to marry her. He has a farm. They rent a baby, which is part of the hijinks for the movie, is the baby keeps changing throughout the film. It's one of the just classic comedies. It's one of the greats. And I think a lot of it has to do with the ensemble cast. Barbara Stanwyck is leading this. And remember, I mean, Barbara Stanwyck was able to do everything. She played noir, she did thrillers, she did comedy, she'd already done Christmas with Meet John Doe with Frank Capra and Gary Cooper. And here, she's playing a character that I don't think is too far off from Barbara Stanwyck, which is this highly independent woman that is being told she needs to conform by having a husband and a child. And if you've done research into Barbara Stanwyck's own marriages and her relationship with her son, I think we might be telling on her a little bit. And I love watching a woman like Elizabeth Lane, who is playing all the games of being the perfect woman and just has no freaking clue. She doesn't know how to make pancakes. She pays her best friend to be the cook. When the baby, she's trying to wash the baby with Dennis Morgan, and mind you, there's nothing wrong with him knowing how to raise children. You know, he says that his sister or whatever has a child, but she has like no idea where he's like, oh, do you do this? And she's like, I guess. I think when at one point Cuddles Sakal, who is her friend, says that, oh, the baby choked on a watch to try to stop the wedding, and she says, I must go to it, not her, or no gender, it. Yeah. Mostly, and the humor is because the gender of the baby switches at a certain point. She gets a girl, and then the baby isn't available the next day, so they get a boy. It's just perfect hijinks. So much so that the romance between her and Jefferson Jones, I don't really care about.
Not at all.
Dennis Morgan, for me, always kind of looks like a cat. I know he often played like romantic leading man, but he's got such a wormy face. I don't know.
He does kind of have a wormy face.
He does. It's really all about Stanwyck deciding and asserting herself. And it's a perfect movie. I always laugh every time Sydney Greenstreet, who plays her boss, looks at the baby and he's like, this baby's got teeth. He's a boy. He can talk. And she says, well, now's not the time to take inventory. Perfect chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah, go on.
No, it really is delightful. It's so fun. As someone who's from Connecticut, I love how Connecticut is always used. So I have this wonderful thing that happens in movies is that Connecticut is used as the woods are treated in Shakespeare. You go from New York City, where all these movies are based, into Connecticut, and Connecticut is where everything falls apart. That's what happens in Bringing Up Baby. It's what happens in a whole bunch of different movies, where Connecticut is the wild place where everything falls apart. And I love that as someone from Connecticut, because Connecticut gets a lot of crap from other states for being the place where it's like everybody talks without moving their mouth and everybody is like rich and wealthy. And it's like, yeah, but also like Connecticut is the wild place to New York City. And this movie is great for that because she's supposed to be this wonderful Martha Stewart before Martha Stewart even comes, 40 years before Martha Stewart starts to exist. But what really happens is Connecticut is her undoing. And it just makes me so happy. I love it so much. And Connecticut is also a really beautiful state. A lot of people do not give it enough credit for the fact that it is absolutely gorgeous. And my parents lived in a really rural part of Connecticut after I left for college. And they had a neighbor that literally had a horse-drawn sleigh that used to because the road wasn't paved. So they used to get a snow and go on a one horse open sleigh ride around the neighborhood. And you're like, yeah, no, that's frickin' Connecticut right there. And it just makes me so happy. And somehow this movie captures that really well.
I was going to ask, because this is a movie where they go and have a barn dance and sleigh rides and all of that, which Barbara Stanwyck had also gone rural for Christmas in 1940 when she did Remember the Night with Fred MacMurray. Mm-hmm. So this was kind of in her wheelhouse. So I'm glad to know that we get authentic Connecticut representation.
Yeah, no, there are parts of Connecticut where that's still a thing. And it's really weird. But, after having not lived there for a long time, where you're just like, wow, could you turn into the 20th century? That would be great. But no, they are committed to not being a modern state sometimes. You still have to pay for things by check. You can't even pay your taxes online. You have to send in a check. That's Connecticut through and through. And this movie actually captures it really well.
What is your number 2?
My number 2 is White Christmas.
Okay. I don't have this at all on my list.
No.
So, yeah, tell us about White Christmas.
Okay. So nobody listening doesn't know White Christmas. So at least we'll keep it there. So I only have to sum up so much. White Christmas is a movie that is wonderful because it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I love it because it is a screwball. It's a 1950s screwball. And so everybody ends up married. Ta-da! Yay! But I love a comedy of miscommunication, and that is one of my favorite things about White Christmas, because literally if any person just got the bones to walk up to someone and be like, I overheard you say this. Did you mean it? And someone went, no, I actually meant this. The movie would be 30 minutes long. But you don't want that to happen. You never want the hijinks to stop. And I cannot tell you how much I love the spectacle of it. If you are someone who loved the Rockettes, at the end of the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade from Miracle on 34th Street, you have Santa come into town, and that is the official start of the holiday season. It's wonderful. It's so fantastic. The parade is always interspersed with Broadway tunes and the Rockettes doing a thing. And if you don't get to go and see the Rockettes, what you can do is watch White Christmas. And it takes you into that. George Chakiris is in every scene being sexy and a great dancer. And it's so, the plot doesn't matter. What you're there for is song and dance and Christmas vibes. And if you just need something to play in the background while you're wrapping presents or having a Christmas, it's just a great Christmas ambiance movie. And that was my extremely incoherent argument for White Christmas.
White Christmas is one of those where I have a real mixed reception to it. I mean, it's a quasi-sequel to Holiday Inn from 1942, which I've talked about how much I don't like that movie. And
hate that movie. Stand that movie.
A lot of it is racism. So, sorry. That's a big part of it. And I've seen this twice. I've seen it on a big screen, so I've kind of seen it in the best way possible. I think the tableau of it is great. The way that they compose the performances, I mean, it's perfect. Sisters, I think, is a very cute musical number.
Super cute. Yeah.
I don't know. It might be the Bing. Maybe it's the Bing of it all.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. Bing is really treading some worn boards for him where he's like, hi, I'm old enough to be your grandfather and I'm going to flirt with Rosemary Clooney. But there's so many things about this that I love. You know, Danny Kaye is hilarious. Am I name checking? I'm going to edit that. Is that the right actor?
Yeah, it's
I
Danny Kaye.
confuse him with a different actor.
Wait,
all the
no,
time.
is it Donald O'Connor?
It's Donald. Is it Danny Kaye or Donald O'Connor? Like, I swear to God.
Hold on. I'm going to tell you. It's Danny Kaye. You were right. My fault.
Thank you.
I made you
Thank
second
you.
guess yourself.
See, I will leave that in there because, honestly, they have the same face and it freaking happens. They really do.
It's the ginger.
It's the ginger. And so Danny Kaye is truly delightful. There's no sex in this, which, like, if that's something you really need to see in a movie in order to have, like, a believable love story, is you need to see, like, the clinch, then, like, you're not going to get that. But I think as far as, like, love stories go, Danny Kaye is adorable in this because he has a platonic love for his best friend, too. And I think that's something that actually kind of gets ignored a lot when you're talking about the coupling up.
Is it a platonic love or is it Ticklish Business' favorite word? Homoeroticism.
No, I don't think there's any eroticism in this movie at all. There's literally nothing erotic in this movie. There is nothing sexual. There is no spark. There is absolutely no idea that they have anything other than Barbie and Ken parts underneath those Santa suits. But I do think that this movie really sets up the idea that you need people around you to support you. You need people in order to hit your echelon of professional expertise, of community. Like, they love their general. They love him. They literally sing a song about it multiple times. And I think it's really, again, delightful to have a movie at Christmas time that is about found family. Aside from the fact that they're sisters, it's about found family. It's about creating a community. It's about going wildly out of your way in order to help someone who has helped you in the past. I think that there's really lovely bits to this around one really racist song and poor Vera Ellen's eating disorder.
Yeah, there's that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you made the argument for it because it's one of, I think, some big Christmas movies that I tend to not love the biggies. I think that's the thing. So number one, we have gone through a journey.
Yeah.
I have like one honorable mention, which would have been Sound of Music, which technically has become hijacked as a Christmas movie, even though it's relatively non-holiday specific. But my favorite things is going to play as it tries to sell you the Macy's holiday sale or something. So
yeah, it's true.
There's that. But my number one is going to make people say, Kristen, didn't you say that none of the movies we picked were going to be ones where we'd argue about whether they were Christmas movies or not? Yes. Yes, I did say that. And I'm going to say that this is definitely a Christmas movie, and I don't care who knows it. It is 1944's Meet Me in St. Louis.
Oh, how cute.
Yes. Yeah. We didn't have to share that one, did we? We have individuality.
Yeah. No, that's not my...
Okay, so Meet Me in St. Louis, yes, it is a year movie.
Yeah.
It starts at the beginning of the year, ends at Christmas time. But we only remember two elements of that movie, and that is Halloween and Christmas. So I'm counting it. This is a year in the life of the Smith family. They live in turn-of-the-century St. Louis. The Christmas part is pretty much where the conflict finally shows up, like... right in like the middle, like towards the end of the story. They're gonna move to New York, which they're like, New York, we're gonna live in exactly which I think the dad says is gonna be more money, but they're like, we're gonna live in a tenement, we can't have pets, and I can't go to school.
Isn't their dad a banker? Like,
yes,
he'll be fine.
Yeah, I was just like, I think y'all are getting a little extra. But this is a Judy Garland movie after all, so there's that. But for me, the Halloween is very cute. It's told from a child's perspective, the youngest sister, Tootie. And Christmas is where it all, just the opulence of it, the fact that they think they're going to leave town, it's the end of something. And they've created these snow people. that kind of take on this metaphor of like they're temporary people because they're gonna move. It culminates with a big dance sequence in front of a Christmas tree with Judy Garland in this fantastic red dress. She is pin thin, which means she is high as a kite, but whatever. She looks beautiful. It's just, it's all of the things that I wish my Christmas aesthetic was, opulent, filled with velvet, 8-foot tree, looks great. A grandfather that's alive. That would be
exactly.
great. And of course it culminates with her singing Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas to little Tootie, who realizes, holy crap, we're going to move. I've just been told this song about how we have to muddle through the sadness of life. And she decides to go out and commit multiple homicide and kill all of her snow people. Judy has to go out there and console her and say it's all about togetherness. And it's this moment of realizing that he has traumatized his own children that, the dad realizes that he shouldn't move them. And it also is just a great parenting story. Like, parents doing what's best for your kid. That's great. It's probably a 15-20 minute section of the movie, but it really does bring everything together about the fantasy and the nostalgia of this time period. And it's my favorite Christmas movie, and I don't care who knows it.
That's cute. I like that.
Yeah. What is your number one? Because now I need to know.
So this is going to be a what do you mean it's a Christmas movie? And I don't care who gets mad at me.
We just lied to the audience at the beginning.
We did. We just flagrantly told untruths. Mine is The Thin Man.
The first one?
The first one.
Yeah. I mean,
the plot requires it to be Christmas time.
I mean, I consider it more
so
of a
mad
New Year's movie.
No, that's the second one. The second one is a New Year's party at their house in San Francisco. The first one is set from December 22nd, 23rd through the day after Christmas.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Yeah. And both of our number ones have hot jazz daddy Leon Ames in them. So
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the Thin Man is so delightful because it's two child-free people who are like, what should we do for Christmas? And they're like, I know, be recklessly self-indulgent. And that never happens in Christmas movies. It's literally all about how do I make children love Christmas? And as a child-free adult, I'm like, believe it or not, adults still exist. So Dorothy Wynant, who is our main accelerant in The Thin Man, she approaches Nick at the bar of the Hotel Normandy. And Nora comes in and she's laden with Christmas presents because she's like, I'm rich and why not? And we're in New York for the holidays. And Dorothy is like, I need to get married to my hunky boy toy who has no personality, but like right after Christmas, but my dad has disappeared and my father is what makes Christmas. I need to have my dad around for my Christmas wedding and I don't know where he is. And Nick is like, I'm going to save Christmas by finding your dad. And then he does, but he's buried in concrete. But that's like taking a really dark turn for Christmas movies, but it has to happen towards Christmas because Dorothy needs her dad around for Christmas. And I think that's delightful.
Are we saying there's a world where Nick Charles is Santa Claus?
I would believe it.
I could believe that as well. That actually is. No, I mean, I think that there is a reason why TCM especially always does the Thin Man movies between Christmas and New Year's, is because I think they show what every 30, to 40 something year old wishes the holidays could be like if they never are. You think of something like After the Thin Man where they show up to their house and there's a full-blown New Year's Eve party happening and nobody knows who they actually are, so they can just sail under the radar and you're like, oh yeah, that's great. I mean, this is a really swanky party in my house, unfortunately, that I'm going to have to clean up.
I'm footing the bill for.
Right?
I love in The Thin Man where they're having the Christmas party the evening before Christmas.
Yes.
And, Nora's going like, yeah, call San Francisco, call your mother. I don't care. We're going to indulge all these like ne'er-do-wells who happen to be in my living room. And she's just kind of like, I'm going to be the Christmas fairy. You can do whatever you want. And here's a glass filled with scotch, neat. And she's just like, let's go to town. We're going to order sandwiches.
We talk about the 40s as this time of Christmas wanting to have security for us. We want to be comfortable. And I think Christmas often is like money doesn't matter. It's this imaginary thing. And we don't have to worry about spending it. You should just enjoy the holiday season. And oh wow, that's hard for me to parse, as somebody that is like super frugal or tries to be.
Especially because the 30s, like, they were in the depths of the Great Depression.
Yeah.
And so I think to be able to see people on screen having this lavish, like, Christmas shindig, basically. And the next morning where, Nora's like in her furs and she's got her diamonds and Nick's still like, I'm going to shoot the ornaments off the tree with my pop gun. I think there is a sort of double-sidedness to that, where you have Nora who's like this purely aspirational, the depression won't touch you one day, which I'm going to leave the politics of that aside. I'm just going to put that on a shelf. I'm going to put that out there. But Nick also has this wonderful bit where he's the son of immigrants. He probably didn't really have big Christmases as a kid. And now the dream of being 40-something-year-old William Powell in this movie is he gets all the toys that he wanted when he was a kid. And that's like the joy of being an adult with like some discretionary income. You can be like, shit, yeah, I totally wanted that when I was 9. Click. It's going to be delivered to me in like 2 to 7 days. And that's like a real joy that you get to have when you're an adult. And I feel like The Thin Man is a really, really good Christmas movie for adults.
I love it. I love it. That is our top 5 Christmas movies. We are already putting our heads together for 2026 and some new theme months, some new movies, some new tributes, things we already want to do. I'm both happy that we are done with this year, but also very excited for next year. Emily, what about you?
I think we've already been discussing so many new things that we want to try. I'm really excited for the creativity that we're digging into. You have been doing this show for so long, and I can't believe I've already been a part of it for so many years, that we're trying to find new ways to discuss a set catalog of old movies can be a little bit difficult. So we are really digging deep for some creative new ways to talk about old classic films. And I think we're, frankly, pat on the back, we're still impressing ourselves. Woo-hoo.
I think so, too. And we would like to thank our sponsor, unofficially, JSTOR, for inspiring us to do more research on things. We hope to do even more research with their help next year. So, of course, if you have any thoughts on what you want us to do next year, you can email it to us oldschool@ticklishbiz@gmail.com, or you can send it to us via social media. We are everywhere at ticklishbiz except for Twitter, which we are on less and less these days at ticklish_biz. You can always find me at Kristen K. Lopez, unless it's on Instagram, where I am at Kristen Lopez 88. My writing is always at The Film Maven at thefilmmaven.com. And I have my next book out, Popcorn Disabilities. It is out now. Please consider buying it wherever you buy your books. I'm hoping to do some more book events into 2026. So a lot of stuff happening for me. And I have another book coming out in
Ooh, I know.
Volume 2 of But Have You Read the Book? So it's going to be really exciting. Emily, where are you on the interwebs?
I am across mostly Blue Sky and Instagram at Ms. Emily Edwards. I'm also at MsEmilyEdwards.com, where Silver Screen Sleuths is cooking along rather nicely. We've been peppering in more modern movies in case you are just learning about classic films as I am. We also are drawing the lines and creating the spider web that connects all of cinematic sleuthing history over at Silver Screen Sleuths. You can find that at MsEmilyEdwards. I am working on self-publishing a new book, so hopefully I'll be having more information on that early in 2026. So if you are super into what is delightfully termed as sunshine noir, if you're interested in LA noir fiction, I will have a new book that I will be self-publishing or figuring out a way to get onto the shelves in early 2026. So feel free to follow me on social media or my newsletter, and I will have more information on that shortly.
Yay. And just because we are done with new episodes for the year, that does not mean that the feed will be dark. We will be putting out Patreon stuff and some other fun things between now and when we return in January. So please keep listening. As always, our Patreon keeps the lights on, helps us pay our bills. I know times are tough, but if you like listening to us at all and want to leave us just $1, you can do that at patreon.com/ticklishbiz and get access to all sorts of great stuff, including our Discord server. You get episodes early. You get swag depending on what tier you're on. Our patrons really do help us pay the bills and keep pumping this show out. So we greatly appreciate all of you, past and present. Even if you are no longer a patron, we appreciate that you were. So consider jumping over there. The main feed will continue to be putting out episodes until we come back. We'll be back in 2026. As always, starting the new year off with the new Discoveries episodes of 2025. So if you want to get a jump on that, send us the movies that you've discovered over the previous year that you want us to spot. We'll be back in January of 2026 with a new episode. Have a great holiday. We will see you then.